Hey y'all. All right, it's time for another video, and we're looking at the 8-liter 488 cubic inch V10 monster in my Dodge Ram 3500. But let's go over here and look at something else. The spunky, sprightly, highly useful, and very reliable, and actually a lot of fun to drive 239 V6. Then let's go over here and look at something else. Well, we got the 360 all wrapped up here, and we got the 318 covered up. Then we got the 232 slant 6 sitting here exposed for a change. What has all of these engines got in common? Even that LA based 239 V6. What has all of these engines got in common? You want to think about it for just a minute? Does this have something to do with it? Maybe these. Here's a better guess. What is it that this and this have in common? You want to guess? I'll tell you what it is. It's torque. Okay, tension. It's 2023. You mean I cannot go out and buy a impact, even an electric impact with all kinds of electronic gizmos on it? I still cannot go out and buy something that's going to come in here and torque this down to spec every single time. It's 2023. We have all kinds of technology at our fingertips. I mean, I'm recording a video right now on a telephone, a cell phone. But we still don't have the technology to torque that bolt down to spec with an impact, do we? That's why these dinosaurs are still highly useful. Yeah, even the pointer types. The great thing about these, they don't ever go wrong. There's nothing to go wrong, hardly. I mean, unless that beam gets bent, that pointer beam gets bent, that thing is like rock solid reliable every single time. Okay, so y'all, as you can figure it out by now, we are talking about torque. Why is it important to torque your fasteners? Why? Why is it so important to do that? Why is it important to make sure that they're torqued correctly? Well, just stick around, you'll find out. Okay, a little background. I've been a mechanic since 1992. I've worked in lots of garages where I'm working on cars. I've worked in a lot of garages where I'm working on big rigs. Torquing fasteners is highly, highly effective and extremely important. I cannot stress to you enough how important it is. When a manufacturer gives you a torque spec for something, they're not just doing that just for the hell of it. They're doing that for a very, very good reason. You might ask, why? See this? It's a spring. What's that got to do with anything? I'll show you. Watch this. Sorry about that. See that? I've now got the spring under tension. Okay? I've got it under tension. Okay, now, think of this bolt just like this spring here. Okay. All right, you see what I'm talking about? The two aren't that different in how they operate. There's almost no difference between how a spring operates and how that bolt is operating. That bolt is already torqued down right now. We torqued it down earlier to, I think, 40 foot-pounds. Okay, so here we go. Move it a little bit. There we go. There's 40. All right, so there's 40 foot-pounds on that fastener right there. Why is it so important to do that? Because we're stretching that bolt. Because we don't want this fastener to back off from this bolt. It's just like we're stretching the spring, okay? We're stretching that spring. We got it stretched out there. It's all stretched out there. It's under tension. And when it's under tension, guess what can't happen? That nut cannot back off. But you might say there may be some exceptions to that rule. I mean, look even on this carburetor right here. They're using a spring right here. So when you tighten that screw down, okay, that screw, when it tightens down and starts compressing that spring right there, that spring will hold that screw in there. Without that spring, that screw will eventually fall out with all the vibration that this carburetor would encounter. So, that's why torque is so important. Let me set something else up and I'll show you a little bit more. Okay, y'all, little commercial break. Hey, I want to say thank you so much to you all for the likes and the shares and the subscribes. I know I say this every time, and I'm going to continue to do that because I am continuously grateful to you all for that. You all are just killing it, sharing the channel with everybody. We got over 2,000. Almost 2,700 subscribers now. It's like 2,600 and something. No, it is over 2,700. I'm sorry. Duh. Okay. So yes, over 2,700 subscribers now. It is just crazy. It's like, I can remember thinking back to when before I had 50 subscribers, and I was thinking, God, if I got to 50, that would be amazing. Here I am now at over 2,700 subscribers, and it's just 2,718, I think, the last time. So thank you so much. Thank you. So anyway, all right, let's get back to business. Okay, so here is a bolt. I'm going to try and torque that son of a gun down, and we need the correct. Of course, that's not going to work. That's a 9/16, and that is not a 9/16 head on that. Hey, there we go. 15/16. That's the first step. Use the correct size tools. Don't be try to jam something on there with your hammer and just beat and bang and get it on there. All right, hey, it's going to work. Yeah. Sometimes, when there's no other options, like say on a lug nut that's got the swollen stainless steel caps, yeah. But this time, I want to show the clicker type torque wrench. Okay. Now, here's something to look at. Here's something to think about right here. Right here, this is in one of my Chilton's manuals right here. Okay. And this gives you bolt size and thread count, and it tells you how much foot-pounds of torque it should handle. I mean, this is pretty amazing, really. Even gives you down in the kilograms and newton meters of torque that it should handle. So this is pretty amazing stuff, really. I love this. This is why I love old manuals. They stop and they give you this information. It's just really amazing. Come over here, but every engine here has torque specs. Look at there. Cylinder head bolts, main bearing bolts, rod bearing bolts, crankshaft dampener bolts, flywheel bolts even, intake manifold, an exhaust manifold. Even spark plugs. How many people torque spark plugs? Not very many, but hey, it's there. Even the cheap Haynes manuals, they give you torque specs. They go through and they give you torque specs on stuff. I mean, look here. This is for 318 and 360. You go, yeah. Sorry, the shadows are being a jerk. Yeah, see, camshaft sprocket bolt and all of that stuff. I mean, it's just amazing. Now, okay, we've got the good old ratchet crank down here on it. You know, we can do this. You know, all right, yeah, here we go. Yep, it's cranked down, it's torqued. Let's go. No. How about we do this? How about we do something a little bit better? Now, how about though we find out what is that thread size right there? I'm thinking that's maybe 9/16, maybe 5/8. What's an easy way to find out? I'll show you. You just come over here. Here's a 5/8 socket. No, I know that socket's not going to go in there. How about a wrench? I know a wrench is not going to go in there. Yeah, here we go. Open end of a wrench. Or the closed end of a wrench. Let's see, 9/16. Where's my 9/16? Okay, there's 9/16. Really close. I'm gonna say it's 5/8 though. Okay, so let's go back over here. 5/8. It should handle 83 foot-pounds of torque. 5/8 by 11. 5/8 11. So that's 5/8 thread, 5/8 size shank, 11 threads per inch. Okay, that's what that is right there. That's what that guy is. So, all right. It says 83 foot-pounds. I say, let's go to 80, or let's go to 75. Let's just make it nice and slow. So, okay. So here we go. We're going 70, 72, 73, 74, 75. So here we go. All right. How about that? Now you notice I did kind of stabilize how I was using this. You heard it click. So let's do it again. Okay, there we go. Now, this bolt now is like this. Is now like that spring. It's under tension right now, see? It's pulling. You want to pull itself back together like that. The bolt is the same way. It's the same two principles right here. Exactly two same principles. Okay? Exactly the same. I'm going to tell you something. This engine behind me, that was built in 2012. Okay? Still runs. I built an engine in 1995, 96. Ran into the owner the other day. Caterpillar 3406. He told me, hey, I'm still running that engine that you built for me. 1995, 96. That was a long time ago. That engine is still running. Why? Because I torqued stuff. I come over here and I look for torque specifications. Okay? I know this isn't for a Caterpillar. Ignore that. The fact of it is, what I'm trying to illustrate to you, the viewer, is get the information, get the torque right, and do the right thing. Okay? Now, something else you should pay attention to. Let's see this here. Let's look at this bolt for just a minute. Okay, ignore the rusty washers. But look at that. Look at that. Look how that just almost glides over, almost flies off of there. Look at them. Look at them threads. Clean as a whistle. Right? No rust, no dirt, no grime, no grit, nothing in there. Now, when you do go to torque something down on any engine, any vehicle, any part of a vehicle, you need to look at, when they give you information on this stuff, do they mean, hey, does it need to be, they're giving you certain information on this. They want you to use that information correctly. Like the torque specs. Okay? Here, right here. Look here. This is for Magnum V6. Okay? Intake manifold, plenum cover, reinforcement plate, installation instructions. Okay? Look here. I did this on my truck. My blue and silver truck right over there. Make sure all threaded holes are clean and deep enough to accept bolts. Okay, remove the intake manifold, lower plenum cover, clean all sealing surfaces by hand. Do not use any power-driven tools, Scotch-Brite, etc. 3. Install new plenum cover gasket. Do not use any type of gasket sealer. Locate and position the reinforcement plate on the intake manifold. Install the plate using the supplied 1/4 inch and 3/4 inch bolts and 1/4 inch washers. Note, we suggest using a blue thread lock on the bolts. See? Alright. Tighten the bolts in the sequence shown in the diagram. Tighten them in this pattern 3 times each time, tightening them to the next specified torque. Haha, see? Step 1, 48 inch-pounds. That's not foot-pounds, Bubba. I like that. Step 2, 84 inch-pounds. Step 3, 84 inch-pounds again. Then reinstall the manifold as per factory specifications. Then they give you a pattern here to go by. So see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You see what I'm talking about? So when you use the bolts and the fasteners and the tools and the information here like you're supposed to, stuff doesn't fall off. Okay? Bolts don't break. Whether you're using, an electronic torque wrench, using the old good standard clicker, or you're using great grandpa torque wrench right here, that I love, by the way. I love using this thing to build engines with. I knew a fella, he went and he decided, hey, he had to replace head gaskets on his Thunderbird with a 3.8 liter V6. Decided, hey, he'd buy the head gaskets brand new, check the heads, make sure they're nice and flat, with a straight edge and a feeler gauge. Did the same thing on the block. There's one thing he didn't do. He didn't replace the head bolts. It had torque to yield head bolts. That means those head bolts you use one time. Once you break them loose and you take them out of the engine, that's it. They're done. They're done. You go buy some new ones. He didn't do that. He replaced head gaskets like 3 times on that car. He finally broke down. Somebody nearly forced him to buy new head bolts. I think it was his wife or something. Bought new head bolts, new head gaskets, put them on the car, started it up, had water in it and everything like that. Perfect. Hey, These engineers at these factories, these companies that build these cars, they know a thing or two. Okay? They don't go to school for nothing. You know? So, when it says, lubricate the threads, you lubricate the threads. Okay? Whether it's something like this or it's something like oil out of a can. Whatever the case may be. Here's just a little side note. I've been using anti-seize on my lug nuts for all my vehicles. Not only my vehicles, not only the Barracuda, not only the Dually, but all of the vehicles that are here on my property. I've been using anti-seize. Why? Why use this? I mean, wouldn't you want the friction of these bolts, these lug nuts, going down on that? Wouldn't you want that friction to hold that bolt, that nut in place? No, you don't. You don't want that. Because if you do, what you're going to have is you're going to have an incorrect reading. Okay? You're going to have very incorrect readings. So, like, you're going to torque one of those lug nuts over here, and it's going to say 100 foot-pounds. You torque another one, it might say 110. You torque another one, and it might say 130. The reality is, yeah, you'll have your torque wrench set for 100, but the reality is the torque level may be going much, much higher on that fastener, on that stud. I've been doing this with anti-seize on my wheel studs since the 90s. Okay? Since the early 90s. I have yet to have, well, on mine, I haven't had a wheel fall off. I did have one wheel fall off on a customer's vehicle. However, we did not use anti-seize on the threads of his vehicle. We did make it up, though, to him. We made it up to him. Okay? So, but here's the thing. Torquing fasteners prevents fasteners from falling off. Prevents parts from falling off. Wheels from falling off. So, that's why we torque fasteners. That's why we do that. Okay? It's very, very important. All right? So, I thank you so much for listening to me. And I appreciate you tuning in, watching, and listening to us, to my rant. But to me, it's really super important that you torque fasteners. Because if you don't, you can't rely on that part or that engine or that wheel or that whatever to continue to do its job. Because the fasteners have to be there and they have to be present and doing their job. When a fastener isn't tight, it's no longer doing its job. So, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Have yourselves a great day. And have yourselves a great Thanksgiving. God bless.